Hello, Patreon beloveds. I am so excited because we have Kelly Radi here. And those of you that have been following along in the community, then you know that she wrote the book that's over my shoulder here. I'm doing the other way, sorry. But she's also written this amazing guide, WonderFULL, Activate Your Inner Superpowers, but no cape required. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love that it's, in a workbook format, that you're working through things. And so, Kelly, first of all, let me just say, this is amazing. Parents, moms out there, y'all, this is so good. Even if you are, even if you're in your first year of college and you're watching this video, this can really impact your life, because what it makes you do is dream big, but also it's like you're dreaming, but also you're distilling information to make it immediately actionable. And then you're journaling about it. It's like the perfect guide. And so I just want to, dig in and ask you some questions about it. First of all, let me say the fact that you have a quote from both Linda Carter and Gal Gadot, who both played Wonder Woman. I was like, yes, because I recently met with my videographer, and over my shoulder and many of the videos is a Wonder Woman little figurine, because I love Wonder Woman. I absolutely love her. And that we have that Wonder pose. Have you done the Wonder
Power pose?
Power pose, exactly. And so, it just everything about Wonder Woman. So thank you for that. But tell us about the 7 pillars of power. Can you just list those and just
I will
talk about them?
Well, like you, I grew up with Wonder Woman. I grew up watching Linda Carter.
Oh, yes.
I'd sit on my shag rug in the 70s and 80s and watch Linda Carter show me that women could be strong and smart. Women could connect and collaborate and do great things. So
Yeah.
she's definitely somebody I grew up with as well. But I wrote this book. I noticed you said workbook. I'm going to tell you it's a thought book, because we women have too much work. We don't need some work. We need some thoughts. And so I don't know if you noticed, it's not a thick book. I made it thin on purpose.
Yes.
I want it to be doable. I want it to be a joy, not a burden, not a to-do, but I can't wait to do.
Yeah.
So I broke it down into what I was thinking about at the time, which were the pillars of power. So we've got the power of resilience, and each pillar is a chapter where I share some stories. I did interview 100 women to write this, and I was very intentional of interviewing women all over the country, interviewing women all different age spans, socioeconomic, careers. I didn't want it to be all college students. I didn't want it to be all 50-something Midwest career women. I wanted it to be a variety of thoughts, and in order for us to learn from each other.
Yes.
Because we learn from different generations of women,
yes.
if we just pause and think and ask the right questions. So resilience is one of our pillars of power. Authenticity, one of our pillars of power. Priority, one of our pillars of power. Perspective, voice, grace, and people.
Ah, beautiful.
Power of the people we surround ourselves with.
I mean, talk about that. Yes. Even in that resilience chapter, you talk about, are you the victor or are you the victim? And, you hear, even if you listen to that language, it seems very similar, victor or victim. But I mean, there's a vast amount of difference there. And to start off like that, that was so incredibly powerful. And then one of the things that I love that I wanted you to talk to our audience about is in the priority chapter, you were talking about multitasking, but in fact, you said it's not multitasking, it's switch tasking. Yes. And so can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I thought I was the queen of multitasking. I was, especially, I always say, you think of young moms when they've got the babies and they can cook dinner and breastfeed and mop the floor and pay bills and answer the door all at the same time, and they make it look easy. Yes. But in reality, that's really hard on us. From a professional standpoint, just think about it for a minute. If you are on the phone talking with somebody, but also trying to quickly kick off an email as something else, listening for the dryer to buzz or whatever the case would be, are you really engaged in that conversation? I caught myself doing it one time.
Yeah.
I was trying to pump out an email as I was on the phone, and wouldn't you know, I missed something the person was saying, and I sent the email to the wrong person.
Yes. So it was like both of them were not.
I could not successfully accomplish either task because I
Yeah.
was trying to do too much at once. And
Yes.
and I have it in the book, and I'm not going to quote it properly, but it was a study done in London that just said, honestly, multitasking, it throws your brain in a similar way that smoking marijuana does. I think I called it multitasking and marijuana, which is a little attention grabbing, but you don't think of multitasking doing harm to your productivity. We think it makes us more productive, when in reality, you're better off separating and accomplishing. Like you talked about closing loops earlier in our conversation. And I do like, one of the ways to succeed at that is to prioritize. And I call it the you pick three. I don't know if you were going to go there, but
definitely.
You go to a Chinese buffet, if you try to eat everything on the buffet all at once, you're going to get indigestion.
Yep.
So my advice is to pick 3 high value activities, 3 priorities for the day. There you go.
Yes.
And jot them down. Try this as a science experiment for 7 days. Instead of trying to do 70 things halfway or half well, pick the 3 main, get them done. And then if there's time, you can tack on whatever else you'd like to add to your day, but get the 3 highest values checked off your list.
Yes.
And do that for 7 days, and then look back and note, were you more efficient? Were you more, made fewer mistakes? You know, where is the sweet spot for you?
Yes.
I mean, is it 3? Is it 5? For me, 3 works.
Yes. Yes.
And then beyond
one
that,
thing that I noticed when I was journaling was I would tell myself I'll do those 3, but I always have like a running list going. And one of the things that I realized after walking through your thought book, which I love because you're exactly right, it is more of a thought book.
You don't need more work.
That when I would write down those 3 and then I would accomplish those 3, then I would feel so accomplished. It didn't matter that there was 10 more. But if I had only looked at my list of, 15, even if I'd done 5, I'm crossing 5 off of a list of 15. That doesn't feel as successful as it when I say, here are my 3, and I cross off every one. It's like I gave myself 100. It's like it's some sort of
anything else is a bonus today. Anything else is extra credit.
Exactly.
Which is it feeds into that victim and victor mentality. You are victorious. You accomplished the main important things that day. I mean, and it's all those baby steps of rethinking how you look at your to-do list or your daily responsibilities.
Exactly. The other thing that I love is when you were talking about voice, and you were talking about, are you powerless or powerful? And then those 5 positive traits. So can you talk to us a little bit more about voice and ways that you see? I mean, I'm assuming this is written primarily for women. I don't know how often you have men that use this, and I mean, they certainly could, but can you talk about, particularly with women and using our voice?
I can. I start out this chapter, I won't give it all away, but I do start out this chapter talking about a situation in my life where I felt powerless, and I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. I was a young professional, first job out of college, in a situation with a boss who did not respect me and actually harassed me. It was a horrible situation to be in as a 22-year-old college graduate, 10 hours from home in a new job. And ultimately, I found my voice. Initially, I subdued it and put my head down and thought I could work my way out of the situation. That wasn't happening for me. But I ultimately, and I tell the story in the book, found a way to use my voice to really take my power back from this person who was trying to take advantage of me, figuratively and literally. And so that is just one example of using my words and my voice to say, hey, you don't get to touch me. This is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it really worked in that situation. Now, I'm not saying it always works in that situation, but in that case, I found my voice and I used it for greater good. But there's
I would also say though, Kelly, if you hadn't found your voice, then you can guarantee it wouldn't work. So
it would not have
it's not,
no.
It's not that it's not that using our voice is always, you know, the thing that's gonna, but not using our voice is always a difficult road.
Correct. Choosing our words carefully and in that case, firmly, and setting some very strict boundaries. But I can give another example actually of different ways to use our voices. Fast forward a few years from there, I was up here in central Minnesota where I live, and I had just taken a new job. I had been an at-home mom for 16 years. Which was, I'm going to steal a military phrase and say it was the toughest job you'll ever love. Yeah. But then it was time for me. I knew it was time to get back in the corporate world. And so I did. I got really lucky and landed a job that just ticked all the boxes for me and my skill set. And I was ready to do it. And I had 3 weeks from when I signed the contract until the day I started the job. And in those 3 weeks, something happened. I went from being over the moon about the opportunity that this position, it was a spokesperson position. It was just everything.
Wow.
And I was over the moon in those 3 weeks. I went from being so excited to paralyzed by fear. And that is because different voices, negative, ugly, horrible voices, had taken up residence right here. And the power, those voices had the power to strip me of my confidence. And if you give those negative voices room up here, they multiply like rabbits. And before you know it, your head is filled with voices saying you're not enough. My voices told me I wasn't professional enough. I wasn't intelligent enough. I didn't have the skills. And probably the meanest one said, what makes you think you could do this? You're just an at-home mom. Just an at-home mom. Those voices got the best of me. Yeah. And my family could see me going down, swirling very fast. And it was the night before I'm supposed to start this job. And they sat me down, Marty and our 2 daughters, who were then teenagers, around the Radi family kitchen table and gave me the mother of all pep talks. And they used their voices and said things like, Mom, you're going to be awesome. They're so lucky to have you. And Marty said, Cal, the only person in your way is you.
That's right. That's right.
They used their voices in a much different way than I did with the boss to wrap me, to blanket me in words of affirmation. And actually, a quick side story. Then they gave me this. They gave me a Wonder Woman lunchbox to take to my first day at the office.
Oh my gosh.
You want to talk about full circle?
Do you know what, Kelly? I had that same lunchbox and I just used it. So as the videos come out, there's one that I talk about student loans are like a processed snack cake, but I used that lunchbox and I was
that's so.
I would open it up and see a Swiss cake roll. I would be so excited, but really now they don't taste all that good and blah, 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 blah. And so the fact that you have the same exact lunchbox.
Yes. I actually carried this. I will tell you, I carried this to the office that first day. And I always say there's power in this hunk of tin. Yes. It gave me that. And nobody steals your lunch from the communal fridge when it's in a Wonder Woman lunchbox.
That's exactly right.
And actually now I keep it up there on that shelf. So when I walk in my office every day, it's a visual reminder
That's beautiful.
Of my family's words of affirmation. When I didn't have the confidence, they were able to wrap me in their voice, in the words of affirmation, which pushed those negative voices out of the way.
Yeah.
So
beautiful.
Use your power, people.
Yes.
Use words of affirmation. Choose your words carefully. Use them to build up, whether it's building up a sister, a friend, a colleague, a child. There's power in our words, in your voice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for being with our community. And again, here is the book. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it from Kelly's website. Just astounding thought book. And I just thoroughly enjoyed this, and so deeply grateful that you were able to meet with our community. And thank you for being a friend of Debt Free Degree and being a personal friend of mine. You're just such a blessing, and thanks so much.
The joy is mine, and just big hugs and sending all the superpowers to everybody watching.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, beloveds. See y'all soon. Bye-bye.